Casey Gray here from The Conscious Builder. I was invited to be a part of a panel for a class, and these are always things that we like to do. It's always fun to be involved with the younger generation growing up. I still consider myself part of the younger generation, but obviously these people are younger than myself. So if we can inspire and really get into the minds of what their thinking is really important as we grow this business, because ultimately this business will be educating them or building for them. So I was blessed to do this. So what you're listening to is these answers to some of those questions from the students. A lot of the things that we do is we educate people. So we put all of our stuff online. We do our podcast, we do our YouTube show, and we just get as much as we possibly can out there, because the reason why we ultimately named it The Conscious Builder is because we want people to make conscious decisions. And you cannot make those conscious decisions unless you're aware, because a state of consciousness is really a state of being aware. So we want to bring all of that information to homeowners, whether they're our clients or not. We're on a mission to help everybody, to make sure they're living in a healthy and efficient and comfortable home. And we know that we can't build them all. And that's why I don't consider Roy competition per se, because there's a lot of work for both of us. And we do different things to some extent. But there should be more people doing what Roy and I are doing, in my opinion, because it needs to be done, right? It's not just about those countertops. And I actually bring that up a lot when we talk with customers as well, because it is one of those things that everybody wants. And there's certain things, people reach out to us now because of our experience in Passive House and Net Zero and so forth, but they still want nice things. They still want to feel good in their space, and that's important. And I think that's a big part of building sustainably as well.
Can I get you to just briefly explain Passive House?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to get into all the complexities, and to be honest, I don't do all the calculations. We hire energy advisors to do that. But essentially, Passive House is one of the most rigorous building standards in the world, and it really focuses on the performance, the comfort of the home from a heating and cooling standpoint. So the way to make a home comfortable and efficient is by having high R values in your walls and ceilings and floors and so forth. But more importantly is also the air sealing. And that's Passive House puts a lot of attention on air sealing, hence why they have a 0.6 ACH as a requirement or better. An ACH stands for air changes per hour. And the way that that's calculated is by doing a blower door test on a house. And then essentially that fan runs both compression and decompression, and it simulates 50 kilometer an hour winds on all four sides of your house. And then it figures out what's the volume of air that you're losing at that pressure. And so that's a big part. And then it gets into HVAC as well, because when you make your house that airtight, you need to make sure you're mechanically ventilating everything properly. I think every house should have that in either case. But a good HVAC system is a priority. And those are the main things that Passive House focus on. They don't care if you put vinyl siding or carpet or anything like that. They're really just considering the heating and cooling demand of a home for the most part.
So, just to sort of summarize, it's a super insulated and super sealed house. The windows are optimized to allow sun in the wintertime to gather that heat and keep the sun out in the summertime, and et cetera, et cetera. It's designed to use very, very little energy. As Casey said, it's one of the most strict building standards in the world.
Now, I just want to point out one thing, that the windows are important in terms of orientation, but they're not a must. It just helps on the calculation side of things. So it's a theory side. If you have that passive heat from the sun, it helps, but you have to be able to block it too, because where we live, we have both extremes in terms of weather. It is what it is, though, right? You kind of have to, all you can do is give people more other options, and if they continue to choose that, then that's, their choice, right? I find, though, at least in the clients that we're getting, a lot of them are putting the performance ahead. That's probably because how we've set ourselves up in the marketplace, is that they're reaching out. A lot of people just even want us to do their envelope. So we're not doing even a lot of projects that we're getting a lot of photographs of, because we're just not being involved with the finish part. They'll hire us to do the envelope because they know how important it is, and then maybe they'll go and finish it themselves because they're sort of handy, and then maybe they call us to hang the doors because they realize they can't do it or something like that, right? But those are the types of people that tend to be coming our way. Like even this the 3-day cottage that we're doing the YouTube series on that we're recording right now, we're really helping them with the envelope portion of it, and then we're going to teach them how to finish it because they have a budget to work within and they like to do that work, right? So that's going to be part of the YouTube series, is us kind of teaching them how to do the work and then them doing it, and we'll see how it goes. And one of the things, like we don't hear the term green too often, at least people who reach out to us, because we've set ourselves up with passive and net zero. So those are typically what we're hearing when people reach out to us. But I did want to touch on, if we're just thinking carbon footprint, for example, that's the other tricky thing, is that there's a lot of ways to improve the comfort and efficiency of a home, but the products that are used are terrible for the environment. So foam and concrete are two of the worst products that you could possibly use for a carbon footprint, but concrete's required to some extent because we do need to get a foundation. But like an ICF, for example, that's foam, not the best for the environment. It's going to last a long time, but not very good. But even when we're adding exterior insulation, a lot of the time we're doing foam products, and we do them because they're cheap. So a lot of people will reach out to us and they want to get that more comfortable and efficient home, which is great. But unfortunately, the way we have to do it sometimes to meet the budget requirements is to just use foam as opposed to some of the other products out there that are a lot better for the environment. But unfortunately, they're not widely available, and hence why they are more expensive, and in some cases, significantly more expensive. Yeah, I can't talk on the big builders side, but I can talk on the small, like custom homes renovations. Like that, we're dealing with delays because you submit for permit and they're like, well, probably 6 weeks, right? And who knows, right? 6 weeks is a long time when it's just a small renovation, even if it's a custom home, especially this time of year, right? So we're waiting to get a home started, and then the people at the city, unfortunately, a lot of people have been retired, so there's younger people there, and they're not sure, which is fine. We get that, and they have to go through the training. But I think a lot of things just happened at once. But like we're building here in Algonquin Highlands right now. No joke, we got the permit in less than 24 hours. We submitted. And like in the evening, the next morning, we had the permit in hand, and there was one red line on there. We didn't even have nearly as many details as we typically have, and no issues, right? They're just laid back here, and they're not slowing anything down. And you can call them and have a conversation with them, and not be worried about saying the wrong thing and upsetting an inspector, right? So it's kind of nice having to not deal with that bureaucracy that Roy was just mentioning, because the other thing is what gets approved at the city sometimes isn't what gets approved on site. And that's another issue. It's been getting a little bit better, but there are inspectors. We've had jobs where it passed at the city level and the inspector actually passed it and then went back and didn't approve something and made us rip stuff out. I don't talk about financials anymore. Like that's just my choice, because especially home buying, it's not logical, it's emotional, and it's all about comfort, right? That's what we talk about is comfort. It has nothing to do with how much they're going to save in the long run. That does come up, and but at the end of the day, in our opinion, the people who are building something that's short term, those aren't, personally for us, those aren't our clients, right? If they're wanting to build something to make a difference and something that that they want to keep or pass down or whatever may be, that's a no-brainer to them. Those are the people who are coming to us and saying, this is what we want to build, and this is why. We already believe in this. We know that you can deliver. And the people who just want to buy their first home, or it's just a renovation because they want to, they want a rental unit to rent out, whatever it may be. Those people are just thinking dollars and cents, right? That's a very different consumer, and those aren't the people that we are looking to get as customers. We're just not interested in that. I think the only way that you're going to have, in my opinion, the only way that we're going to have big change is if it's forced, right? If the building code says you have to build to net zero now, But I understand that there's a lot, a lot of that's going to cause a lot of issues and rising costs, and people can't afford homes and so forth, right? So there's all sorts of things that I know are going to happen. You can't just do that overnight. But I think that's the only way that there's going to be real change, is if people are forced to make that change. I think.
Go into the construction trades. Sorry, Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, well, once you do that, then I guess you can build your own home. But even that costs money, right? Because if you're building your own home, you're not making money doing something else, right? Depending on what you want to do. So I think, I feel like in the coming years, technology is going to have a huge impact on how we build. There is companies out there that are 3D printing homes. I think there's a lot that they need to figure out still. I would love to be involved with some of that stuff. There's some really neat stuff going on. I follow a lot of that. I think that's going to solve some of these things. But it's going to be difficult. Back to what Roy was saying, was expectations, right? What do people expect to get? What are you expecting in your home? If you want to buy a home, what do you expect to get in that home? So there's a lot. We were actually a part of a research project with NRCan, and it was called the Prefabricated Exterior Energy Retrofit. So the industry, and I'm sure Roy can expand on this a little bit, is aware that the majority of our of real estate is existing buildings, right? There's going to be more and more existing buildings, and the new buildings are never going to surpass existing buildings. So a big concern is, what do we do with these old buildings? And once again, I feel like technology and the way things are going and how technology grows exponentially, there's going to be a lot of great things coming in our lifetime, absolutely. And exterior panels, retrofits might be one of those. Like, all these homes, cookie cutter homes that have been built the same, one after the other, or townhomes, could be great candidates to put these exterior retrofits on. Now, in a townhouse, when you have 5 townhouses in a row and they're all different owners, trying to get everybody on the same page is going to be another story, and wanting to do it all at the same time. But there's definitely opportunity to do exterior retrofits without having to do too much to the inside of a building. And we've proven that. And the Ottawa Community, OCH Ottawa Community Housing, is actually doing that right now and using that research from that peer project that we did. Thanks for watching another episode of the Conscious Builder Show. If you noticed, we were in a different location while I was recording this, and that's because we were in a trailer on site for a project that we're doing called the 3-Day Cottage, which is going to be our first official YouTube series that's coming up. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe to stay up to date on that project, as well as all the other exciting projects that we have on the go.